Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. In today's session, we are going to be talking about something that's almost every single organization is struggling. Yes, we are going to be talking about complaints. How are we handling complaints? Especially not talking about enterprises, not talking about individuals, but about how small and medium scale companies are handling and tackling complaints, especially when customers demand for a particular certifications, may it be ISMS certification, PCI DSS certification, HIPAA certification, etc. Gone are those days where we all have been using Excel sheets to follow up, Excel sheets to make notes of what all changes to be followed up for the meeting and the next meet and so on, right? And it has been a Herculean task for having policies, procedures, evidences, etc. handled on Excel sheet. So let us see how CISO Genie, a platform-driven GRC product, is going to help us understand how complaints can be handled a lot more effectively. So, having said that, I would like to welcome both Bala and Shankar for this webinar. And I am quite glad and excited to have both of you here. Yeah, Bala and Shankar represent CISO Genie. They are the co-founders of the product itself. And I'm quite excited to share a quick conversational witty kind of a chat where we just try to understand in layman terms of how CISO Genie is contributing in the fast ever-changing world of compliance, right? So to get started, both Shankar and Bala, I warmly invite you for this session. I'm quite excited about it. So number one, how does CISO Genie help small and medium scale companies on their compliance journey?
First of all, Vinod, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having us for this discussion, and thanks a lot for inviting us as well. And that too, in the Data Privacy Week, I think it is going to be pretty important topic that we are going to talk about data privacy, about compliance, which is so critical for today's world and for organizations, any type of organization, right? So your question is, what is CISO Genie? How does it help, right? So to put it simple, it's a genie for CISOs, right? So that's why we want to name it very simple, CISO Genie. It is an automated GRC platform. What that means is it helps organization to manage governance, risk, and compliance in single place. It's a single pane of glass view, right? So it's built by people with about 40 plus years of experience, a combined experience in cybersecurity. The folks, who have actually worked as CISOs and faced these challenges every day, right? So we designed this platform to solve the real problems we ourselves struggled with earlier, right? And now I know there are other GRC platforms out there that claim to do the similar things, right? So I'm not denying that, right? But here is what we are different from others, right? So the first is we put data sovereignty, and AI and security first design at the core, right? And what that means is your data stays under your control in your environment, and our AI agents help automate and simplify the compliance, right? So to put it very simple, right? Then, I mean, other things that we also do is just to differentiate ourselves from others. We follow some best practices like OSCAL. So OSCAL is the Open Security Controls Assessment Language. I mean, it is led by NIST. So in simple terms, it makes policies mission readable. So what's written in your policies is actually practiced and continuously monitored as well, right, by the platform. So instead of having, just having the compliance on the paper, CISO Genie ensures your controls are alive, active, and always audit ready.
Lovely. Excellent. So thanks, Shankar, for giving a heads up there. So
One more
following
thing,
that, yeah,
Vinod, just to add, right? I mean, so just to give a analogy, right? I mean, it is also like how do I say? So practicing preventive healthcare, right? So you don't just wait for a heart attack
Very true.
for you to do a regular health check, right?
Absolutely.
So your regular health checks monitor your cholesterol or blood pressure or sugar levels and stay within the safe threshold, right? That way you can reasonably confident that you will avoid any major incidents for years to come, right? It's a similar principle, right? CISOGenie continuously monitors, controls, automates the evidence collection and keep the compliance aligned across the framework. This predictive approach, it reduces the risk and it prevents incidents, and and also and ensure that even if something unexpected happens, right, over and above it can happen, right? It's the same thing like as a health, right? You are protected from penalties, insurance rejections, regulatory setbacks, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for giving that heads up, Shankar. That really is very informative. And I really love the idea of the name CISO Genie. It's a genie for the CISO, right? So that's very impressive. So having said that, in today's fast changing world, right, and having seen the kind of attrition that is happening on the market, both from the company and by the employees, right, I don't see any roles, maybe analysts, consultants, or any, any roles are staying in the company forever, right? For reasonably at least 5 years, 10 years. I don't see that now. It's very fast changing, right? So if I have a CISO or a DPO in my organization who is handling the privacy portion of the company or the compliance portion of the company, I often notice that there is a big issue where someone follows the process for 1 year, they set up the process and everything, and suddenly they're gone, they're vanished, right? So how do you think CISO Genie can be of help here? Will that be of help?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a fantastic question, right? So, certainly it is a big challenge, right? A big challenge across the world, right? Not just India. And the cybersecurity is it's a hot job. And then, people get to move around quite a bit, right? And also, I mean, this is one of the biggest advantage of for using CISO Genie. Usually, when a CISO or key IT manager, let's say, or infrastructure person or security analyst, whoever, right, they leave, they take the knowledge of the compliance program with them, right?
Yeah.
So compliance is something is non-negotiable, right? You can't say tomorrow when there is an issue and the auditor comes, oh, the someone has left because of that. We are not able to keep it up with that, right? So CISOGenie acts as a centralized source of truth, right? So all your policies, evidence, your historical data are stored in the platform, right? It is not in someone's personal email. It is not in the local drive, or you don't know where he kept it, SharePoint and nothing of that sort. It's
Very true.
all in one place, right? So even if a team member, a critical person moves out, the new person can step in and see exactly where things stand and ensuring the company doesn't lose the compliance status and they can carry forward with it.
Absolutely. I think it totally makes sense, especially having said about my experience. I've had seen cybersecurity leads of organizations who carry the complaints with them, the other company they go to, right? And what happens? The complaints folders are missing, the Excel sheets are missing, there's no proper inventory of where they stored what, right? And
Exactly.
having
Yeah.
said, if CISO Genie can solve this problem, I think this would be a great benefit for a lot of companies to have a structured inventory of policies, documents, and all the required evidences. Right?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So, another question, having said about evidence, right? So, I did see in CISO Genie's website, it spoke something about agentic AI for evidence collection, right? So, when you talk about the word evidence collection, right? So, usually in organizations, uh, respective team members have to get access to a particular, ERP, CRM, cloud systems, AV, EDR, XDR, to take evidences, screenshots, and etc. to document it for the complaints, right? But most times than not, there is a reservation for the team leads to give access to the respective stakeholders for doing that activity, right? So I'm little, I'm little bugged about the idea that I don't want to share confidential login details to someone or give them access. So what is this agentic AI for evidence collection in CISO Genie? What does that actually do?
Hey, great question, Vinod. And again, thanks for having us here. And it's a nice segue from talking about evidence system of records into agentic AI. One of the primary reasons why we have CISO Genie is that all vendors, all GRC vendors that we use that we have seen so far, the concept is that like you have articulated well, we have to store credentials in the GRC platform, and then it automatically integrates with various tools, fetches evidence periodically. It does all of that. While it might sound great and convenient, there's a huge red flag here. We are sharing or storing something as sensitive as credentials in a third-party system. Now, what happens if that has a breach, right? All our credentials are compromised, our accounts are compromised, and we have to go through a nightmare of setting up everything again and all that, right? So this is one of the significant differentiations in CISO Genie. Here, we never ask the customers to show their credentials on the platform at all, because that is what AI is for, right? To solve hard problems. And true to our motto of sincere AI, what we've done here is built an AI agent that sits in the customer's environment, right? It could be in their office, data center, cloud, wherever. And you configure your credentials. It could be a machine that just the GRC lead or the compliance head has access to. They configure credentials there. The credentials never leave the environment of the customer at all, ever. Now, when you have to collect evidences, it could be quarterly, half-yearly, it could be various compliance requirements has various frequency, right? So you set that up on the platform. A job goes to the client, and the client collects evidences, including triggering a browser if need be. Now, one might ask, how is this different from, say, a Playwright or Selenium kind of tool which can open up a browser and collect evidence? Right, and that's a valid question again. So the differentiation here is in CISO Genie, we tell that collect evidence for A8.24 using, say, M365 or using Intune MDM. So the agent knows that this is a tool that I can collect evidences from browser. Again, like other tools, it can also do API connection, but it does browser evidence collection, which is very unique, right? It can open up a browser. It knows that if the tool is M365, it has to log into admin.microsoft.com. And for A8.24, it knows that it has to go through Intune, for data address encryption. We don't ask it to go to Intune and check things. It goes there, it checks for policies, and verifies if data address is configured. Right. So this is the autonomous nature. This is why we need AI, and this is where agentic AI differentiates and distinguishes from browser automation. Right. So that is something that we do, and in a credential safe way, like you had originally asked. That is something that a value proposition that CISOGenie gives you.
Oh, wonderful. That's really excellent because, talking about password managers, right? Companies like LastPass, Passkeep, etc. I've seen a lot of news about them getting compromised, right? They are
True.
place where you store passwords like a key store, and imagine that getting compromised, right? So one of the key reasons that I asked if that could be automated by not sharing the username passwords for doing evidence collection. I think this is a big move. I don't know of any other tool in the market that actually does this today, right? I've had a chance to work on Vanta. I've worked on Drata. I've worked on Tugboat. I've worked on Archer. I've worked on few more tools, right? Get Probo. I worked on the open lane. But unfortunately, none of them has this evidence collection the way you are describing. I'm really excited and want to know how it is actually happening, right?
Great.
So,
Sure.
yeah, having said about the way you are doing evidence collection, just wanted to ensure how is the sovereignty of the data maintained?
Another great question. If you, like I said, the data, there are two aspects to this. One is the credentials part, the other is actual evidence, right? The credentials, we saw that it's stored always in the customer's premise, it never leaves it. Now, what's equally important is evidence, because it's for compliance, more often than not has sensitive data, and one might not be comfortable uploading to a platform, uploading to a third-party system. We understand this because we've been through the same problem in our early organizations. Right? So the way we have solved this is by allowing customers to configure their data store. So they could say if they have an AWS account, they could configure their an S3 bucket as their evidence data store. So when evidence collection happens, it happens on a machine in their environment.
Got
From
it.
there, the data, the agent triggers, the agent acts on it, collects evidence, and then evidence is uploaded directly to their S3 bucket. So the flow of data is from their a machine in their environment to a bucket they own. It never hits CISOGenie at all.
Got it. Okay.
Likewise, when they view evidences, right, on a browser, from the S3 bucket that they own, the evidence is directly rendered on their laptop, on their device.
Okay.
So either while creating evidences or
Wow.
viewing evidences, it never hits CISOGenie. They have absolute data control.
Oh, that's lovely. So that's a very novel way of handling the sensitive data. I've never heard of someone doing this. So kudos to your team for doing that. So yeah, having said, let me clarify my understanding, Bala. So CISO Genie is a product or a SaaS product which is focused for small and medium scale companies who are looking to fasten up their compliance journey in a more regulated, organized pattern. Is my
Yeah,
understanding right?
that
Okay.
is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
Though
Excellent.
it's meant, though it can scale up to enterprises, it's SMBs are the biggest wins because this simplifies the compliance journey, makes it efficient, makes it a
Got it.
lot more both cost
Absolutely.
and time efficient for them. Yeah.
Absolutely. So having said that, it is companies for who look forward for say ISO 27001 or say DPDPA, CISO Genie helps them to achieve that. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So who would be the target user, Bala? Is it going to be end user or security administrators or internal auditor or external auditor or certifying agency? Who will actually use this? Who should use this?
So I'll take up that question, right, Vinod. So so simple answer is it's bit for all of them, right? But they all each use it differently, right? So for example, CIOs, CISOs, or department heads use CISOGenie to check the compliance health of that specific areas, right? So it gives them visibility, helps them to measure performance and take the right decisions, right? So which is very, very important and critical. Timely decision, timely action, right? A simple principle, right? So when you can't measure, you can't improve, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't know where you stand, you can't move forward, right?
Mm.
So CISOGenie solve this by providing a complete visibility, showing customer exactly where to focus and what to improve. Right? So that is for the department heads and CISOs and CIOs, right? And for end users or security analysts or whoever is the users for the system, so they logs in just to complete their assigned security task or signing the policies or reviewing the policies and so on, right? So those are the more of a task management for them. And for auditors, internal or external auditors, they are given a review view. So instead of companies sending about hundreds of emails to auditor showing the evidences here and there, sending their evidences. So auditor simply logs into the platform and finds all the evidences which are neatly organized in a single place. He can easily, go and manage it. And also, CISOGenie, we have a agentic audit. So when we say agentic audit, we can ask CISOGenie to do audit, which agents can do in an autonomous
Oh,
fashion.
wow.
and to provide a report before going to external auditor certification. So your audit goes smoothly without any NCs.
Oh, that is lovely. So you're saying apart from the agent, I mean the evidence collection agent, you also have an auditor agent. So I can actually do a mock audit, not just with my internal team, but with the system itself.
With the system itself, you can do with multiple
amazing.
strictness
That
level.
would definitely give a kind of a confidence for me once I have a proper audit done internally with the system. And then I am going to the audit tomorrow. I can actually have my team also prepared up for the kind of questions that may come for the kind of queries that they usually would pose. That's such an excellent move. So wonderful. So going forward, how does CISOGenie, what is the brain, the engine of CISOGenie? How does it actually creates policies and procedures, say for DPDPA, for HIPAA, for any specific standards or frameworks?
So Bala, do you want to take up the question?
Sure, Shankar. Thanks. So in CISOGenie, we support over 40 plus standards, frameworks, regulations across them, right? And including DPDPA, ISO 27001, so on and so forth. Something unique that CISOGenie does is that when it generates policies, it's not a template that you get, but you get a full-fledged policy with controls built into it. So internally, CISOGenie has its own what we call as a canonical control framework, where we have designed with help of AI a framework that has got controls that cater to multiple standards, frameworks, and regulations. Now, with that, what we do is the normally what most companies do is a crosswalk, right? They map just controls, but when you do a canonical framework, what you get is the ability to generate policies and procedures, and also the ability to map evidences from multiple frameworks to a single system, to a single control. With this approach, what we do is, let's say someone wants just DPDPA, right? DPDPA has the rules and acts are converted into controls, and those we map to our internal canonical controls. And when someone subscribes to DPDPA, we generate policies that cater to all controls using our canonical controls. The canonical controls, if you read the actual controls, they're legal text. It's hard for someone to understand easily. The canonical controls are simplified English that anybody can understand. You don't need legal or technical knowledge, right? And the advantage of using that is, suppose they're just doing DPDPA today, and tomorrow they want to move to cloud and to a global audience, and they want to do SOC 2. All they have to do is just choose SOC 2. The system automatically updates policies and procedures. And the benefit here is that in most cases, your policies rarely change because be it SOC 2, NIST, ISO 27001, all of them, the underlying concepts are similar. So policies rarely change. The procedures, some are stringent, some are less stringent. The procedures get updated. The system takes care of all of this for you, including policy versioning, policy authoring, and approval. So that is how CISOGenie manages policies.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So having said that, Bala, so you are telling to me that for DPDPA, for example, for a particular control, you won't have something already stored. You create it on the fly.
Oh, yeah, correct. That is exactly how.
That is amazing. So it is not a regular RDBMS style querying the DB and showing a policy. So it custom creates for every single data that you're fed. Based on that, it is completely customized offering. Is that my understanding right?
Yeah, it is based on the set of compliances that subscriber wants.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell me this, Bala, say you said 40 plus frameworks your product supports, right? So I'm very excited when you said that. Say I say for example, ISMS, ISO 27001, right? I know there are 93 controls there, right? Say trust services criteria, SOC 2 type 2. I know there are 61 controls there, right? And I know that there are overlapping controls, which means if I am already ISO 27001 certified, I am close to 55, 67 percentage SOC 2 certified also. I'm already certifiable or attestable.
Yes.
So would your system be intelligent enough to understand that and tell say I have a roadmap that this 6 months I have to complete ISO 27001. Another 6 months I want to achieve PCI DSS, right? Will your system be able to help me understand how much percentage of PCI DSS also I have completed so that I don't need to wait for 6 months because only this much delta that I have to finish.
Oh, exactly. This is something that we felt was very useful. We do it at two levels. One, at a dashboard, there's a compliance drill down where you see your subscribe compliances versus everything else we support. So, like you said, if someone is already ISMS working on ISMS and they are say 90% done, just below that you will see it's some 40% or 60% matching for PCI DSS, SOC 2, whatever else they may be interested in. So you get a rough estimate of the effort pending to complete other compliance. Now, the second part is what we just discussed about is policies. So you already have ISMS policies. You're planned to do SOC 2, right? Because we use canonical controls. And the significant overlap that we spoke about, right? Those policies will not even be touched upon. They remain intact. You have approved them, the approved policies stay. Where there is a difference, delta there, that is where the policies get modified and procedures get modified. So both at a practical level and at an executive level for understanding the effort in both places, right? The CISOGenie supports you to handle overlapping compliances controls.
That's pretty impressive, Bala. Good job.
Thanks,
So,
thanks.
Bala,
Just to
another
add on,
yes,
right? Sorry, Vinod. So just to add on to what Bala said, right? So multiple compliances are mapped to the policy, and the policy gets automatically updated and managed as you add more compliances, right? So main thing is controls don't get duplicated, right? So we use the high watermark approach. That means that highest impacting controls take precedence over the least one, so that you are automatically compliant with all the compliances.
Oh,
Yeah, great point. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. So well, I mean, if please correct me if I'm wrong. So usually in an organization, right, there would be someone hired to take care of the ISO 27001 certification roadmap. And while he is there, the same organization will have to hire someone for taking the roadmap on the SOC 2 journey, right? So are you saying that you don't need multiple teams or multiple experts to do the individual certification roadmap, but just using this tool and one single person who has a holistic idea will be able to achieve it?
That is true because like Shankar just pointed out, the high watermark principle that we borrow from FedRAM tells you that ISMS says your password should, for example, I'm just giving a hypothetical example here, says your password should be at least 10 characters long. Right? ISMS doesn't say that. I'm just giving you an example. And let's say NIST 853 says it should be 12 characters long. So the procedures will get updated to say 12 characters long. And you don't need, if you have two people, they might step on each other in this case. So you take the stringent one, and it automatically makes you compliant with ISMS as well. Now, like you rightly pointed out, it takes less effort to deal with it. You don't need two experts. One person with a overall idea, overall understanding of the concepts is sufficient to handle that.
Oh,
and this is much more critical in case of VCSOs where they have to cater to, in most cases, they'll have to multiple frameworks, multiple clients they have to do. And it used to take humongous staff effort to do this earlier. With this, they could do more with less people. They could cater to more frameworks, more customers much easily.
Oh, okay, wonderful. So do we also have some kind of a maker-checker arrangement in the system? Because say I am the person who's working on this application, I should not put everything on the way I have understood and go for the audit directly, right? So there has to be some kind of a checker system in place, right? So do we have that in place?
We do, and thanks for that. This is another great question, and I don't know if anybody else has this. The way we do this, if you take an example of ISMS again, there'll be HR teams working on that, facilities team working on physical controls, technological teams like IT and security team working on those effective controls. So you have an array of teams working on implementing the controls, but it is likely that not everybody will have the complete picture of ISMS in its entirety, right? So someone like a CISO or a compliance head will have the complete picture. So what the system does is the task interface that we call in CISO Genie lets people complete the task, and then there's a maker checker interface which we call the audit prep, the audit readiness interface, where the compliance head could come and check if for each of the control are the evidences sufficient, accurate, relevant evidences uploaded. It could be either via the agentic AI system or it could be the manual system, whatever the mechanism may be, someone checks and then marks the control is implemented. So uploading evidence by itself will only mark the task is complete, not the control is implemented. So the task completion is separate from control implementation. So the maker checker gives you that benefit. Shankar, do you want to add on to this?
Oh, that's perfect.
You have covered. So
okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So, Bala, maybe on a high level, say I run a bakery, for example. Okay. And for me to produce or bake a cake, right? Say I'm a startup, I do amazing work, I get a lot of customers who love my cakes and all that, right? Eventually, what happens is the quality of cakes drop down. And that's because this is a scenario that I'm just making out of nowhere. Yeah. The quality of cakes drop down because the place where I source my sugar, this place where I source my wheat, the place where I source my other raw materials, right, don't give the same quality as it is promised, right? So there is a supply chain related issue, right? And if you look at it, the quality of my service is directly impacted because of what the third parties have to provide me, right? And if you just speak about the JLR related attack, if you notice, a huge ransomware attack happened while TCS was already in charge of taking care of that, right? But again, if we just try to point fingers, again, they have other EDR and XDR providers who are pointed, right? So my question is, in any scenario when there is an issue, we notice that it's not just because of one person or one. There are allied services or allied, things that actually create this issue, right? So TPRM, third-party risk management, is what I'm just trying to talk about, right? So my question is, can automated TPRM, right, especially, there are a lot of automated TPRM systems in place. So support this DPDPA vendor risk management.
Yeah, that's right, Vinod. So definitely TPRM is becoming so critical, especially like you just said, DPDPA, right? So in DPDPA, you are responsible for the data your vendors handle, right? So that means, even if something goes wrong with the data processor or the third party vendor, you are responsible for it. So the law very clearly calls out that, right? So now it is even more critical to ensure that, your third party vendors are, managed effectively to ensure that they are, low risk when they get onboarded and so on, right? So CISO Genie has automated third party risk management module that handles the heavy lifting, right? So what it does is it sends out the automated assessment to your vendors, the vendors before onboarding. It scores the security posture based on their response, and also we have an agentic feature where it goes and check the vendor websites and also crawls the website and make sure that do they have any past history of any incidents, what compliances they have. It also gets the data and flags for gaps, right? Flags any gaps, right? And this also ensures that every vendor you work with it meets the legal requirements of DPDPA without you having manually chased them for a spreadsheet and asking them to get the vendor their document and things like that. So it does the contract analysis to ensure that your vendor or your data processor follows the DPDPA rules that is mentioned in the contract.
Oh, that is pretty impressive, Shankar. So please tell me this, when you crawl third parties website application, their history of attacks and all that. So usually, oftentimes than not, these are data that is usually available only on dark web kind of places, right? So are you saying that you also do a dark web scans?
We do dark web scans as well for
Wow.
third-party vendors. We do dark web scans as well just to ensure that whether there are any leaks from that side. So we do that as well. But outside of that, is there any published incidents they have? So we do search for that as well. So and also check whether what compliances they have and say, things like that. So this is something we independently do this outside of the assessment answers what they are giving, and then we try to compare it and then come up with the score.
Oh, lovely. That's pretty impressive. It looks like CISO Genie is not just a GRC product, but has a lot to do with TPRM, agentic AI, and dark web, and so on, right? So I think it's a bonus because each of it is a domain and tool by itself. And I'm glad that it's already covered as a part of it. So, quick question: what is, I mean, just for beginners friendly, right? What is consent management in DPDPA, right? And how does CISO Genie simplify consent management? Is consent management that important, right? And to my end users understanding or a lame end users understanding, when I go to a website, there is a pop-up which says allow cookies. I say allow all. That's all I know about, right? So is that consent management? So am I missing out something? Is there anything that CISO Genie can help here?
Great question, So, and this is something that most people, even some technically aware people, have this question because there are cookie management, consent approval, consent notices, multiple terms with GDPR having been in place for nearly 8 years now. That has that allow all, allow necessary, sign of cookies. So yeah, so consent management is something that is unique in DPDPA. It is slightly different from cookie management that GDPR has enforced. And GDPR also has a lot of privacy that GDPR has been the basis for which a lot of other privacy related frameworks, regulations have been derived, right? And so speaking specifically about DPDPA and consent management, what it says is when a website uses a personal data of its users, it should very clearly tell what it is using it for. Let us take an example of Make My Trip, right? So you log in with your mobile number, you get an OTP. Now, they use your mobile number for OTP at that point. So that is called an authentication. The purpose of mobile number at that point is authentication. So that is a purpose. Now, let's say you book a flight between Chennai and Bangalore. Now, when you do that, you have decided which flight you want to book. You click book, and then you see they ask for your name and mobile number and your address, maybe name, email, mobile number. Now, at that point, it is for travel information, right? Your boarding pass, etc. Now, this is one purpose. Now, then this is ticketing, like you said. After that, they also, it is not just for ticketing. Let's say the flight is delayed by an hour. They have to notify you, right? They do a notification system. Now, that is a separate purpose. That is flight information messages. So they have to very clearly say, I collect your mobile number for authentication. I collect your name and mobile number for ticketing. I collect your mobile number for flight information messages. So they have to put a banner that specifically says, hey, collect these information from you for purpose 1, purpose 2, purpose 3. And say purpose 4, let's say they collect your email and mobile number for offers and marketing, right? Now, because that is not essential, right? They should actually allow you to opt out of it. Right? So certain things are mandatory, right? Like they need a mobile number for sending you ticket information, for sending you flight information. So those are considered mandatory. This is analogous to the allow all, allow necessary thing that we have seen in cookie banners so far. Likewise, there are things that are mandatory, things that are optional. And whatever is absolutely necessary, they can mark it mandatory. Otherwise, they should allow the users to opt out. Another thing that consent management includes is data retention. How long will they retain data? Right? A courier management service might retain it until the parcel is delivered, meaning until the purpose is served. Whereas someone else might store it longer until you withdraw consent. Say you said you allowed MakeMyTrip to send you flight information, but let's say they start or some other person starts sending you marketing information, then you can opt out of it.
Got it.
And then at that point, you'll have to delete your mobile number. Now, this is the other part. Now, for all of this, the consent manager also should help someone opt out, right? So they've opted in. At sign up time, they say, okay, I'm okay with all of this. Later, they don't like it or they find a violation. The consent manager should also support the user to withdraw consent. This is something mandated. The law explicitly says withdrawing consent should be as easy as granting consent. So consent manager has all of this. Now, DPDPA does have an integration with the consent manager, and those who subscribe to consent management or DPDPA on the platform can avail of that. They get a very simple to easy to use. They can set it up with a single line of code. They can integrate it into mobile app, web app, everywhere. It allows this consent, the access, the data principal rights of accessing data, withdrawing consent, all of that. So all of this is part of what CISO Genie offers for consent manager with respect to DPDPA.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for the great example, Bala. I really love the analogy you said about giving access to a phone number in multiple places for multiple reasons, right? And it has to be called out. And I really loved the statement you said about as much as someone is able to subscribe or to a service or something, you should have it as easy to unsubscribe to, right? Today, I create an account on, say, Facebook. I should have an option to delete my account on Facebook or close my account on Facebook as easily as it is, right? So thanks for that informative. It was really informative. So Shankar, a question to you, Shankar. So what makes DPDPA onboarding faster with policy automation?
Right. So, I mean, in general, right? So for any compliance, onboarding is always a challenge because you need to, write policies, you need to update the policies, and all that takes weeks. You need to understand the compliance controls and so on, right? So, with our policy automation feature, the platform provides OSCAL compliant policies that we discussed earlier, right? Out of the box, right? It's specifically mapped to, say, DPDPA, so DPDPA rules, which creates not only policies, it will also create implementation procedures for the controls that has been there, right? Or rules. Right? And also it will create a task automatically for all the controls with a relevant implementation procedure. Right? And all customer has to do is once that is completed, once you have the policies, implementation procedures are automatically created, tasks are automatically created for them in the system. Customer has to do to just map the existing tools that they are using to manage their security infrastructure or their infrastructure. So they have to just map the tools with the controls in our platform and provide the credentials in our client installed in their environment. So we talked about the client that is there, agent that is there in their environment, right? So they have to just provide those credentials so the evidence can be collected and continuously monitor the implemented controls as well for the DPDPA.
Oh, lovely, excellent. So when you say that, Shankar, it brings me to another question, right? When usually in a given day, a company has a lot of vendor questionnaires to be filled, right? I notice that is become a mandate because that is important to onboard a new client, onboard a new project, onboard, So I did see on CISO Genie's site about vendor assessments, right? So personally, that is a nightmare for me, because filling in our vendor assessment, I've spent 4 to 5 full days and still not able to complete correctly because I need some inputs from every single stakeholder that I have to coordinate, I have to mail, I have to wait, and all that, right? So, how does CISO Genie help here? If CISO Genie can help here, I think it is such a trump card or such a amazing thing because I personally think that's really required in the market today, right? So how does CISO Genie solve this?
All the information in the system, right? I mean, so once you have the system completely configured in the compliances and you have the security tools which are not evidences that you are collected, so you have all the information. So we have a feature in CISOGenie where any third-party vendor or your partner or your stakeholder, anyone who wanted to so they will be sending a set of security questionnaire for you to update and fill it up and then send it to them back, right? So all you have to do is just upload it in our system. I mean, we have a feature like that, so you can just upload it. It automatically answers all the questions that it knows, right? It will just answers everything. So it's not going to be 100% perfect, but it is going to save about 70-80% of your time.
Absolutely.
And it is going to give it to you in the document where you can just go validate it and then update it and then push it back, right? So usually, as you rightly said, it normally takes about, I mean, let's say if they give about 50 questions, right? So it's going to take, if you have to think and write each and everything, verify different documents, different Excel sheets, so on, and write it, it's going to take about 3-4 weeks for you to just,
For sure. For sure.
Because of the other priorities also you have along with it, you have to do it, right? And this one is
dependencies on
going
other
to
resources.
exactly, and this one is going to you can just do it within a day because of 70-80% are going to be automatically populated for you based on that, and then you just have to validate it and then update it and then send it to them back.
I think this is the genie element of the CISO Genie because it's magical. So that's lovely. So very, very impressive, Shankar. So another quick question, Bala. In what ways does continuous monitoring maintain ISO 27001 on audits here? So is there something from CISO Genie regarding continuous monitoring like weekly, quarterly, half yearly? Is there some kind of system in place for that?
Oh, great question. Because one huge problem that customers face is when they start ISMS, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm. They go implement all controls appropriately, done. Now, a month later, 5 new employees have joined. They've had a few more EC2s running, a few more SA buckets created. Are they compliant, right? And that starts the policy drift. Now, continuous monitoring per se, CISO Genie does more frequently, does a day. It does checks controls every day. So you will see if, okay, you have new users, the policy says implement MFA, rotate passwords every 30 days, whatever frequency it may be. And like Shankar pointed out earlier, policies are in a machinable format, right? We use OSCL there, which is a NIST supported framework. And we also have monitoring built via open policy agents. So the way we do is we have agents which can fetch data from, say, M365, AWS, Workday, or say NSS, all of these external systems. Let's say I have a control that says I should run VA every quarter, right? So we fetch data from VA. The policy says every quarter, and so there'll be a policy agent code that says VA dot last scan less than 90 days, right? We check that. If that is the case, otherwise we say there's a policy drift there. Likewise, MFA should be enabled. So for all users, if MFA is enabled, it's good. Otherwise, it's failing. So in more theoretical speak, the control effectiveness has two parts to it: design effectiveness and operational effectiveness. Design effectiveness is how well the policies are written. Do they cover all controls? Are they implementable? How well are the procedures there? The operational effectiveness is, well, policies are great. How are they implemented?
Yeah.
Right. And CISO Genie with its exactly. So CISO Genie with its AI, generative AI, and RAG generates policies that are at real time generates policies based on compliances the tenant needs, and every day via its agents and standard tools checks if what is designed is what is implemented. This gives you when there is a drift you cannot avoid because among other things people might miss. But the best you can do is when there is a drift, catch it immediately, and that's what continuous monitoring offers. And something a risk-based standard like ISMS just becomes important because a policy drift is not just a missed opportunity. It's a chance that a risk might creep in, causing a lot more damages. So that's
Absolutely.
where CCM continuous monitoring helps in risk-based standards like
Yeah,
ISMS.
the reason why I asked about this question is, Bala, I have faced some audits where the auditor asked me, do you show me the evidence of you refilling fire extinguisher once in every 6 months? Right? It is something that was not in my mind. But if there is a system that reminds me that I should follow that up with the vendor and get that
Oh yeah,
refilled or whatever, right? So that is the reason I asked. Even MFA is to be changed, so say once in 4 months, once a quarter, or
great,
everyone has to undergo awareness training once in 6 months. Where is
great.
this kept a track of, right? So this will definitely be a
Okay.
huge benefit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and to add to that, right? See, so for these kind of things where you cannot do automated monitoring like fire extinguisher refilling, those kind of tools, what we do is CISO introduces the concept of a recurring task because we have separated out controls from task, right? And you can configure the frequency yourself for every organization, every tenant, and
Okay.
things like have you performed user access reviews? Have you performed BCP tabletop exercises?
Hmm.
Those things, there are reminders there that remind you 5 days before. So you can, those are recurring tasks, right? So if you have not updated the task in this periodicity, before a week, before that periodicity ends, you'll get a reminder, hey, this is open, have you acted on it? Right. So CCM is automated. We also have
Okay.
reminders for things that cannot be automated, so that
Got
both
it.
are taken care of.
Oh, lovely, lovely. So thanks a lot for your time. I'm just going to have two more questions, but I will ensure that I'll keep it short. So thanks for patiently answering me all through. So
No, this is encouraging. Yeah.
last two questions. One, say I'm an end user. Okay, say I represent a company's IT. I'm a IT head of a company, or I handle GRC, or a small or enterprise company, right? I want to use CISO Genie, right? So, is there a trial version you have? Is there a way in which I can explore it? Is there any free utilities that you give with which I can actually give it a try before even committing?
So we have, we have few free tools available where people can go and take a compliance readiness check by spending about 10 minutes probably. There is a few questions, simple with simple yes no answers. They can spend 10 minutes and they will get a report on where they stand on the compliance that they have chosen. So for example,
Mm,
DPDPA,
mm,
or we have three compliance readiness. We have app, we have DPDPA, ISO 27001, and SOC 2, and we are coming up with more and more as we move forward. So it's very easy. Just 10 minutes you spend, you get a report where you stand and what the gaps are. Right. So
yeah,
that is one way of doing it.
got it.
And we also have a trial version. So I mean, we don't have it in our website, but if someone wants to do a trial, we will be more than happy to do it after NDA. So we usually sign a NDA with them before we do a trial version with them. So that's the reason we are not making it available in the website, but we
Okay.
can do it. Not a
Say,
problem.
Shankar, in India, there's startup culture being very prominent, and there are a lot of small companies who want to try. Do you have something for startups, like a startup kit or something of that sort, where there's some kind of support system for startups?
Yes, certainly. I mean, we are a startup as such, but definitely we want to support more startups because we know the challenges startups are facing, right? And we do have three different versions that we normally, sell. So one is the basic version, which is very reasonably charged, and it has certain features, but it covers most of it, and especially it is startup friendly with less number of users and having about only one compliance, which they are mostly if it is ISO 27001 or DPDPA if they have business in India or SOC 2, things like that. And that's a basic version, very, very reasonably priced, startup friendly. And we have an advanced version with few features and we supports multiple compliances. And we have a premium features with quite a quite a bit of agentic features in
Okay.
that, like agentic audits and stuff like that,
Okay.
which usually are slightly expensive to manage and maintain. So we kept it in the premium version.
Got it. So, uh, whatever size of company I am, you have a fit available for me.
Yeah, we have we have
Absolutely.
things that can accommodate any size of the organization. Yeah,
Okay.
from
Excellent.
small 10-member team to 10,000 people, yeah,
Yeah.
or
The
more than
reason why
that.
I asked this is, Shankar, I noticed about the DPDPA, which is mandated, and it's already 2026, and we hardly have 7 to 7.5 months. Everyone have to be compliant about it. So just wanted to see if for me to just to go only for DPDPA, does your platform support and
Absolutely,
there's some, yeah, excellent.
absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. And the last question, Shankar, it is a very interesting question that, say, I come from a cybersecurity background, right? And say I don't have a product like yours to cater my clients, right? Currently, I'm using Excel sheets to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I say I have 20 customers, right? Is
Yeah.
there a possibility of a managed service offering that you give for companies like, say, mine? I have 20 clients and I would like to use your product for servicing them, right? So, if I go with that, would the charges still be the same like the licensing model you just spoke about, or do we get to have some kind of a benefit concessions around it?
Yeah, certainly the commercial side, we can discuss, there is a difference between the direct tenant and the MSSPs because they are using for the business and they can support multiple tenant. And by the way, CISO Genie has the multi-tenancy capability and MSSPs can use this to provide a service to their customer.
Wonderful.
Right?
Mhm.
It allows MSSP to manage multiple clients from a single dashboard, right? So that is what is I mean, I think it is what is required for all the most of the
Absolutely.
MSSPs who manages
Absolutely.
multiple customers, so the multiple compliances for multiple clients, right?
Mhm.
So they can switch between client A and B with one click, right?
Mm.
And more
Okay.
importantly, you can standardize your delivery as well, right? Which
Mm.
I believe is the biggest advantage in this, right? Because if you have best practice policies, you can push it across all your client at once, right?
Mm. Okay.
And it
Yeah.
and it makes managing any
A
compliance,
lot
for
easier.
example, ISO
Mhm.
27001 for 50 clients, for example,
Mhm.
almost as easy as managing for one,
Mhm.
right? Because that gives a
Absolutely.
consistency,
Makes sense. It
right?
makes
That
sense.
gives
Yeah.
a consistency, right?
Yeah.
And also, for MSSPs, onboarding new clients becomes much faster, creating policies, setting up the task and configuration of integrations.
Yeah.
All this can be done in less than a day. And if
Perfect.
you do this manually, I mean, it. I don't have to
Mm.
tell this, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I'm sure you would have faced it. It takes weeks,
Yeah.
right? Or months sometimes, right?
Mm. Mm.
And MSSPs can, I think that is one part of it. I think other important thing is MSSPs can ensure uniformity in reporting and audit readiness, and they can apply the standardized frameworks and the policies across all their tenants.
Any
clients.
new feature that is brought can be brought to all the clients at once.
Exactly. Right. And I think, they can easily scale, manage multiple customers with very less manpower because all the heavyweights are taken care by the system itself.
Lovely. So, it's not an additional question, it's a part of the same question. So, yeah. So, talking about MSSPs, I don't know how many MSSPs would be interested in watching this. So, one, do we support white labeling for MSSPs? One. Number two,
Yes.
Customers who ask for on-prem solutions, do we have?
Yes, we do have on-prem solution. We are in the process of releasing it. We are working on it currently. And MSSP, your other question, MSSP, does it have a white labeling? Yes, absolutely. We support white labeling, so it is white label ready.
Oh, excellent. So I think finally we have come to the fag end of the program. Thank you very much, Bala. Thank you very much, Shankar. I really appreciate the time and efforts that you spent for me for sharing your insights about the product for our customers, our viewers, and I really loved the overall discussion. It was very candid, and you helped me understand about consent management. You spoke about TPRM. You spoke about dark web. You spoke about various benefits that a startup from India and across the world can get benefited signing up. And you also spoke about the free utilities that you give for gap assessments and etc. So what I'll do is I'll post the links of these gap assessment utilities and the thing as a part of the video itself. So anyone who wishes to can definitely try reaching out, and all the very best. Do very good. I'm looking forward in exploring, and I'm personally very, very happy and grateful for the work that you guys have been doing, because I hardly see any cybersecurity company, especially from India, who's doing what you're doing, right? So all the very best. Do very good. Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so
Thanks
much,
for having us
Vinod.
here.
Thanks for having us. Much
Absolutely.
appreciated. Thanks for time.
Thank you for the interesting questions. Thank you.
My pleasure, Bala. Thank you.
Thank you.